At the beginning of 2024, I posted the video right up there, top 10 most anticipated comics of the year. Well, we are a little more than halfway through the year, and I know I haven't made a long-form video in quite some time, but today I am giving you my favorite, best, top, whatever you want to call it. It's my top 10 comic books or series of the year so far. Thank you all so much. I'm Alex. This is Graphic Novel Collector. Welcome on in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification icon. Set it to all so you don't miss content like this. Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into the countdown. And these aren't in any specific order per se, other than the number one spot, which I was so stoked for and really surprised with, from one of my favorite creators. But let's get into it. At number 10, this one was also a awesome surprise. I'm not a huge Ultraman or Kaiju guy, but Ultra Mega by the team of James Harren and Dave Stewart. James Harren has been a long-time contributor on BPRD, as well as Dave Stewart, and the art in this book, folks, is absolutely magnificent. I really love it. If you are a fan of Kaiju kind of comics and Ultraman-style comics, Ultra Mega is definitely for you. It has an amazing twist in it that I certainly didn't see, and to my knowledge, let me know in the comments section, hasn't really been done in the genre, in the Kaiju, Ultraman kind of genre, ever before. And it was a twist that I really didn't see coming. And based on all the promotion and everything, I don't think anyone would have guessed it. But yes, Ultra Mega, this is the first trade, and they are continuing. This is the first 4 issues. Issue 5 is coming out, I believe, in about a month of the recording of this video. So let me know, are you going to pick back up with Ultra Mega? Next up, if you're a longtime fan of the channel, you know I am a huge Western fan. We have the Enfield Gang Massacre by Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips. This is printed on the old school paper. Very retro vibes, vintage vibes. The art in this one, absolutely gorgeous. The coloring, beautiful. Kind of monochrome on each of the pages, but absolutely love this one. It follows the Enfield Gang and the massacre that ensues. It was awesome. I don't want to spend too much on each book, but if you are a fan of noir style, but also Western books, Enfield Gang Massacre, right up your alley. And a lot happens in the pages of this book, and holy smokes, it is a complete story. So all you need is just this one trade paperback, and this is the entire story. But I was huge fan of this. Definitely picked it up on a whim on like Free Comic Book Day. Read it, loved it. If you're a fan, like I said, of Westerns, go pick it up. The art is really sick, and the art kind of reminds me of Sean Phillips. So if you're into that style art, definitely check this one out. Moving on to my most anticipated book of the entire year. It is Space Mullet. Space Mullet. This is one that I, at the beginning of the year, maybe it was even in 2023, I said, hey, I have to have Space Mullet. This is Daniel Warren Johnson's, to my knowledge, one of the first like ebooks or web comics that he ever came out with. And originally it was published through, I believe, Dark Horse. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's absolutely gorgeous. It is kind of like black and white, but it's still Daniel Warren Johnson, and he came out with this bad boy many moons ago, I think 7 or 8 years ago, before he was the Eisner Award-winning writer and artist that he is now. It reminds me, it has the same vibes of Cowboy Bebop, but it's definitely not just a one-shot pony. As all of Daniel Warren Johnson's books, this thing has heart. This thing has heart. That's the one thing I can say about all Daniel Warren Johnson books, and I'm a huge fan of his. There's another Daniel Warren Johnson book right after this one. But Space Mullet, definitely not as refined in terms of the story, and the art is obviously, he doesn't have a colorist or anything like that. It's just him coloring these pages, but the story's there, and you can definitely see the footprints of who he will become later on. And he just won 2 Eisners this year, so yeah, Space Mullet, awesome. Might be my favorite story so far this year. But Space Mullet's really sick. And if you're a Daniel Warren Johnson fan, if you're a comic book fan, if you're an indie comic book fan, you got to check out Space Mullet. Do yourself a favor. I went to my local comic shop. I had this one pre-ordered, like I said, but they had 2 more on the shelf just last time I was at the shop. So go check that out, Space Mullet. Wonder Woman Dead Earth by Daniel Warren Johnson and colors by Mike Spicer. This is kind of legendary team at this point. Obviously, they're doing the ongoing series of Transformers right now. Kind of show you the interior. I don't want to give away too much, but this is a Black Label DC comic. I am not, you probably see my my bookmarker there. I'm not all the way through this, but so far, I'm absolutely loving it. Daniel Warren Johnson's great. As you can see from the cover, I'm not giving away any spoilers, but yeah, Wonder Woman has Batman's utility belt. Basically, this is a post-apocalyptic war. This is Black Label, so Daniel Warren Johnson was able to pretty much have free reign and do whatever he wanted with these characters. So, I don't know. Why does Wonder Woman have Batman's gear? You'll have to read it to check it out. I don't want to give away. I'm trying not to spoil these things. Now, this one came out several years ago, but it is an excellent story. And if you haven't read it, I don't want to spoil it for you because a lot of stuff very early on gets pretty intense pretty quickly. Daniel Warren Johnson, absolutely excellent artist. Doesn't abide by like house. Because DC and Marvel kind of have these house styles nowadays, and they always have. I know that. But he doesn't really abide by that. He's very energetic, just puts ink onto the paper, and I love it. He lets his emotions show in his artwork, and you definitely see that. But the story in this is absolutely fantastic as well. Daniel Warren Johnson just crushing it on this list. Next up, we have one of my favorite duos in comic books, in my opinion. Maybe, I'll just say it. They're the best duo, for my money, in comic books ever. Yes, I include all the greats in that. Cruel Summer, this is Brubaker and Phillips. I'm a huge fan of the Criminal Saga, and I'm a huge fan of Brubaker and Phillips. Their crime noir is unmatched by anyone in the industry. At this point, you see that they're coming out with a brand new book, and you just got to get it. If you're a fan of this kind of stuff, you're definitely a fan of this kind of stuff. Now, this is kind of, it is in the criminal world, so if you've read Criminal, you know about it. But the first one is actually within the pages, I believe, of the first trade, and then the other books in this are their own thing. But, Sean Phillips' art here, absolutely gorgeous. I don't want to give away too much, but holy smokes. This is a crime drama. We see there's some pro wrestling happening. I'm a huge wrestling fan. But, yeah, you have this dad and this son and a heist. Things go sideways. The ending is insane. Wouldn't have never guessed it. But I'm a huge fan. Cruel Summer. If you're a fan of these two, you have to pick up this book. Don't skip out. And I think if you have the hardcover deluxe editions of Criminal, most of the books in this collection aren't in that. So you have to pick this up if you want the ultimate collection and have everything from the Criminal line. But Cruel Summer, absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it. This is from Image, obviously. But yeah, Cruel Summer is a banger. Moving on, and I'm kind of cheating. I have 3 trade paperbacks of Kaya, and this is Wes Craig with Wordy and AndWorld, and this covers the first 3 arcs of this book. I just started reading this. I think it started last year, maybe even in 2020, but I have absolutely loved this series. We'll start with book 1 to show you, so we don't give away too much. But Wes Craig is the artist from Deadly Class. I love Deadly Class. I've actually even read the first trade. I just picked up the second one from my local comic shop. But Wes Craig is the artist and colorist. I have trouble saying that word. But basically, this little dude is proclaimed to be the golden one, the chosen one. We've seen this trope. It's a very common trope in comics and in storytelling in general. And this, Kaya, is his sister. Now, Kaya doesn't really believe at the beginning whether or not her little brother is actually the golden one. But in a promise to a dying uncle, she said, I will protect him and I will get him to this place and we will see what happens. And that's kind of where the whole thing kicks off. If you're a fan of Wes Craig's art, this is a pretty good showing for him as a writer. Obviously, his art is just so good. I love the kind of monochromatic vibes that he brings to the table. But Kaya, volumes 1, 2, and 3, all trade paperback. I highly, highly recommend if you like stories where kind of lone wolf and cub vibes, kind of like that, but it's definitely, it's its own thing. I'll say that. It is its own thing, and it will stand up to those lone wolf and cubs. Not saying it's as good as that, not saying it's, not as good as that, but I really enjoyed it. I love that they kind of flipped the script. They have a female protagonist trying to protect the younger brother. I do enjoy that. But yeah, check out Kaya. Wes Craig, absolutely killing it. Next up, we have our first Rick Remender book. I talked about him earlier, but we have The Sacrificers by Rick Remender, Max Fumira, and Dave McCraig. And this book is a doozy. Basically, This is through Image, but basically the way that kind of synopsis, basically on this world, and it's anthropomorphic characters. So if you're not a fan of that, probably not going to dig this. But I've been growing, or rather, anthropomorphic characters have been growing on me. But basically in this world, every family, every so often, I forget how long it is, it's a couple years maybe, have to give one of their children as a sacrifice to the gods, which is a crazy big, huge premise. Basically, though, this dude, this little guy, is like, he doesn't know. Now, some of the kids that they have are like excited. They're like, oh yes, we're going on to the other plane of existence, and it's all for a righteous cause. And like one of the kids is like, yo, we're just gonna get murdered. Like this is all a bunch of baloney. And our main character here just doesn't really know what to think. This character is the daughter of basically the Zeus kind of character in here. If you're familiar with Rick Remender, though, he likes to touch on some very real topics. And this is obviously religion-based and has some social commentary on religion. So if that's something that you're not a fan of, or you would rather keep religion out of comics, probably want to skip The Sacrificers. But for my money, Rick Remender is one of the best in the biz, and comics is a perfect medium to talk about real world things, especially when we're using cute little fluffy anthropomorphic characters. It makes us care about them more because our brains, we love animals, right? So Sacrificers, Volume 1, it's still an ongoing series. So I'm really excited. Rick Remender and the Giant Generator imprint is his thing, and I can't wait for the hardcover. I definitely want to get it. I love Rick Remender. This book is really awesome. And yeah, The Sacrificers. What can I say? Moving on, though, to my favorite book that I've read so far this year, Middle West. Holy smokes. I kind of didn't... I held off. I held off on this book for the longest time, folks. Skottie Young, I get that his chibi art is very popular, and I get that you gotta make money, and I'm not hating on it. It's just personally not my favorite style. However, Jorge Corona, whew, absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at these. And the color's so good, too. But we basically follow this young man and his fox, who is a talking fox. So if you're not into that, might not be for you. But this is the complete tale. This is all, the whole thing. Image brought this out. It's only $30. So you're definitely saving money if you buy this in paperback rather than buying all the trades. But basically, I can say, without spoiling too much, this book is about what generational trauma does when you pass it on from, grandparents to parents to kids. And it's a deep book. At first, you think, at least I thought that this was kind of, other than the talking fox, I thought this was kind of just like a one-for-one Earth. With some fantastical elements, obviously, because the first issue, things happen, and you can obviously tell, okay, well, something fantastical, magical is happening in this world. But the longer you get into the story, you realize this is pretty much nothing like our world. I mean, there's some similarities, right? The grass is green, sky is blue. But other than that, yeah, in the subplot in the later issues that becomes kind of the main plot is really interesting. Basically, there's a dude. I don't want to even spoil it. I don't even want to spoil it. But it was very heartfelt. One of the best books I've ever read. And Skottie Young, I'm not too familiar with his work as a writer, but holy smokes, this has heart. Everything that characters go through feels earned. It feels like you very much care. You very much care about the characters in this book. And that's something that is hard to do. And it is, I believe, a comic book reader's comic book, much to Transformers, the ongoing Transformers right now. You read that and you're like, wow, this is just a great comic book. That's the way I felt when I read this. I couldn't put it down. Every waking moment that I wasn't at work, I was reading this. So I really enjoyed it. And it's number one for a reason. But if you haven't read Middle West yet, and me being from the Midwest, I connected with this book and the whole generational trauma thing, If that kind of sounds like something that maybe you've gone through, you definitely owe it to yourself. Read the complete series, or get the trades or the single issues, whatever. But definitely read Middle West, especially if you had like a pet fox. No, I don't know. But yeah, that's the 10 books. I know I kind of cheated with Kaya, but that's 10 books, folks. Like I said, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTuber stuff. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out, and put it to all. That way, every time I come out with a video, you'll see it. But I'm not sure when I'm going to get this out, so it could be, I could get this done over the weekend. It might be a couple weeks, but you guys don't know when I recorded this. But thank you all so much for watching. If you wouldn't mind, though, it would mean a lot. Subscribe, and let me know, what are you enjoying so far? What has been your favorite books you've read? It doesn't necessarily have to have come out in 2024, but let me know what you've read in 2024. I genuinely love hearing and getting suggestions from people, especially if it's a book from any of the creators, whether it's an artist or colorist. Well, I really can't say that word. Or a writer, especially if it's a writer from any of the books and they're not on this list. Let me know. Drop us suggestions down below, because I'd love to see them. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Adios.